This city is 80% destroyed. Out of almost 50,000 inhabitants, no more than 10 remained in it. Izyum. As of this moment, this is the largest city in the Kharkiv region, which was liberated by the Ukrainian military during a rapid counter-offensive operation. The Russians were pushed back from the bridges for several tens of kilometers, across the Oskil River. Both in Izyum itself and around the district center, the invaders left behind solid ruins, a lot of grief and a lot of military equipment. There is destroyed equipment here, and it is suitable to help the Ukrainian army. Report from Izyum by TSN correspondent Alexander Motany.
I was passing by the store. I see that the warehouse is open and there are people in it. I ask what happened. They answer, and we are already in Ukraine. Freedom from the occupiers was felt in Izyum, locals claim, quite unexpectedly.
It was very hot here for 2 days. It was hell here. We were in the epicenter. On the morning of September 10th, there was absolute silence. And I came out and said that our Ukraine is already here. And we were all very happy.
In fact, each of the more than 160 days of occupation was hellish and terrible.
The house is broken. The roof is full of holes. Water is running into the house. What kind of life is this?
From time to time, Lyudmila Petrovna says, the humiliation and helplessness became unbearable.
They took things that were in the houses. A bottle of wine was taken from me. Many had their cars taken away.
The most frightening thing, Izyum residents admit, was when they heard that enemy bombers were flying towards the city.
The worst was in the first days. You feel like a worm and you can't do anything.
Most of the civilians in Izyum died during massive Russian air and artillery strikes. The bloodiest was the day when, during air raids, enemy bombs simply cut 2 apartment buildings in half. The local residents were buried under the debris.
We don't know how many, but many died when the house collapsed under the rubble. Some died from stress, some fell ill. People were worried, you know?
Residents of Izyum say that more than 100 people died then. More than 1,000 residents of Izyum did not survive 5 months of occupation. These are preliminary data of local authorities. But the horrors of the Russian occupation, the Ukrainian military assures, are over forever for local residents. Were the damned Russians driven away? Far, very far. I believe that even jet artillery will not be enough. Ukrainian soldiers admit that they are no less happy than civilians that they were able to go forward. Finally. I had such an emotion. Finally. We will go and beat this scum. The soldiers admit that, although they really wanted to go on the offensive, they realized that attacking and storming is a completely different matter than defending and holding a blow. The most difficult, Oleksiy recalls, were the first few hundred meters of a large, multi-kilometer counter-offensive. At the breakthrough of the defense, it was necessary to make passages in minefields. It is dangerous. It was necessary to pass through the battle formations of the enemy. The fact that the rapid offensive operation that led to the liberation of the territories was a complete surprise to the civilians is very good. This is what our soldiers say. They are sure that the Russians did not expect such a scenario either, although the Ukrainians prepared the offensive for a long time and carefully. We were preparing. We thought it would be much harder. It turned out that they were running away. Muscovites fled, leaving behind armored personnel carriers, tanks, ammunition, weapons and tons of ammunition. Ammunition for artillery 152 caliber. In each forest strip there are abandoned shells, cartridges, uniforms, and personal belongings. Even automatic machines were found. Dozens of abandoned Russian military equipment will now protect Ukraine from the invaders. Russian symbols will be painted over it and a technical inspection will be done. He has an open wedge. He did not have time to shoot and returned back to the forest. They just ran away, so to speak. It will move, it is almost new. It needs to be repaired a little and everything will be fine. Even more enemy combat equipment will never go anywhere. But the main thing is that all that rubbish will no longer kill Ukrainians. Dozens of burned Russian armored personnel carriers are now standing among Ukrainian fields and on both sides of highways. This is the highway Kharkiv, Bakhmut and the village of Dolina, where hellish battles were fought just a week ago. The echoes of bursts of heavy shells reach here from Svetohirsk and Liman even now. On the road itself, every bridge, even the smallest, turned into a funnel after the explosion of a Russian aerial bomb. Even the deepest pits with obstacles, Ukrainian soldiers say, cannot be stopped. Let's catch up. Do they run away quickly? Quickly. And on excavators, and on bicycles, on everything that moves. The soldiers, who are currently liberating Kharkiv Oblast, are assured that wherever they drove the enemy out of towns and villages, the locals welcomed them as relatives. There were people with flags passing by. We were greeted with food. Women were crying. They said, "Thank you, thank you. We are airborne assault troops. We do our job." In a very short period of time, since the counteroffensive began, Ukrainian soldiers liberated more than 300 settlements. But, the army men insist, they have no intention of stopping there. 1 week. Balaklia, Yukovenko, Savantsy, Vesele. We entered Izyum and continue on. Alexander Motiny, Ivan Golovach, and Serhiy Sportilo from the Izyum district of Kharkiv region liberated from the Russian occupiers. TSN 1+1, single news marathon.